Bred dinos are always stronger than their wild tamed counterparts. Today we're looking at the general basics of breeding and learning how the breeding system works. We won't be going over mutations or mutation stacking, that will be done in an advanced breeding video. Obviously, before you start breeding, you will need some dinos to breed with. To breed the dinos, they have to be the same species and of the opposite sex, one male and one female. Keep in mind subtle differences between species. For example, a tech raptor and a regular raptor will not be able to breed together, as they are technically different species. Here we have two knocked out raptors that are both wild level 150s, one male and one female. Even though they're the same level, if we look at the stats, all of them are different. This is because of how ARK's stat distribution works. When a dino spawns in, it spawns in at a random level. If it were to spawn in at level 1, it would have no levels to assign and be its default stats. But if it were to spawn in at level 150, like these two, that dino would have 149 points to randomly assign to the 7 different stats. Wild dinos can't gain movement speed, so while that stat still has a 1/7 chance of taking a point, it will not go up or have any sort of effect. This is a wasted stat that will steal points away from the other stats that you would otherwise want them in. So try to tame dinos with low wasted stats. The Dododex stat calculator is a really nice tool to see how many points went into each stat of a dino. When you have an unconscious dino, look at all the stats, punch in its level and stats into the calculator, and the calculator will tell you exactly how many points went into each stat. These aren't the stats for breeding, however. The stats that are bred from dinos are the stats they have once they have finished taming. Not the stats before the tame, not the stats after you've tamed them and put 20 or 30 levels into them, but these stats right when they finish taming. I recommend keeping a spreadsheet so that way you will always know what stats will come from what dino if you were to use them for breeding. I have a Google Sheet made that I use that I will link below and you can make a copy of and use if you would like to. So our two raptors have finished taming and now we can look at their stats and put them into our sheet. Looking at these two, we can see that we got higher health and stamina on the female, but a higher weight and melee damage on the male. So if we were to breed these two together, we could get a child that has both the high stamina and health from its mother, and also the high weight and melee damage from its father. When breeding, the stats that go from the parents to the child are not a perfect 50-50 chance split. The higher stat from each parent will have a 55% chance of going to the child, and the lower stat will have a 45% chance. Even with the odds on your side, you may have to get multiple eggs before you hatch the dino with the stats that you want. Now, to make the dinos breed, park them close together, go to their behavior, and turn on mating. Then give them some privacy, well, unless they like an audience, and wait for them to finish mating. You can see the progress by looking at the female. When the mating bar is at 100%, you will have your egg. Once the egg comes out, you will notice it has a red glow to it. This is a fertilized egg, meaning it can be hatched. You can find regular dino eggs out in the wild, but unless it has this glow, you won't be able to hatch it. Different species' eggs require different environmental conditions to hatch. Luckily for us, raptors aren't very demanding when it comes to specific temperatures, and it isn't very hard to hatch one of their eggs. Regardless, I set up this little spot with air conditioning units just in case the egg was too hot or too cold to hatch. I know when you think of AC units, you may think that they will make the area colder, but they can also make it warmer for eggs that are too cold to hatch. Simply put, AC units can make any egg hatch, assuming you have enough. Once the egg hatches and our little friend pops out, we can imprint and name them. Make sure to have food ready because babies are born with very low health in food and they don't eat from feeding troughs. They can easily starve to death if you forget to feed them. It's not just stats that are randomly assigned to the child. If we take him over to his parents, we can look at his colors and see which ones he got from which parent. In this case, our little boy came out to be an exact copy of his mom. He's a real mama's boy. But we could have had a child with the dad's burgundy-ish color and, say, the mom's white feathers. As the child is growing up, it will want to be taken care of. Imprinting on the dino as it grows up will give huge benefits. A fully imprinted dino will have their stats 20% higher than they would have been without an imprint. And whoever raised the baby will have a rider bonus of up to 30% extra damage and 30% extra resistance. So that's the basics. In an advanced video, we'll go over mutations, how to get crazy colors, mutation stacking, and how to breed up those super dinos that alpha tribes use to discourage new people from playing on a server. But until then, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Deuces. Now that we've made it through the video, I'd like to take this time to shamelessly promote that I do stream over on Twitch. We have a great community that we always invite to play all sorts of different games with us. It doesn't matter how good or bad you are, whether it's Rocket League or Minecraft. We play all sorts of different games, and we always have a blast. Oh my god. Even with the random shenanigans that tend to happen. So if you're looking to make new friends or have new people to play games with, feel free to tune into a stream over on Twitch or join the Discord down below. I'll see you there.